There's an exhibit in Miami-Dade College's Wolfson campus slowing traffic along Biscayne Blvd. The culprit getting the attention is this guillotine outside the Freedom Tower. Many are wondering why an exhibit featuring instruments of torture is being presented inside Miami's most notable cultural icon, synonymous with freedom. Since this question is running through the minds of many, we decided to meet with the director of Miami-Dade College's art gallery system to get some answers.
The exhibition is titled Instruments of Torture Through the Ages. The reason of the show, many people might ask, why a show of this type in the Freedom Tower in Miami? And the reason is very simple. The Freedom Tower is a symbol.
The Freedom Tower serves as a memorial to over thousands of Cuban refugees who remember the tower as a processing and documenting facility during the 1960s. Medical and dental services were also administered in the facility. The tower became a place of refuge for the many fleeing their homeland during a time when the government succumbed to Fidel Castro's communist regime, a regime renowned for violating human rights. The traveling exhibit is trying to shed light on the violation of human rights throughout the ages.
The exhibition that we're looking at is Instruments of Torture Through the Ages, brought by the Toscana Museum in Italy, and that has traveled through the United States and different parts of the world. The reason this exhibition, which is a historical exhibition, is from the historical perspective that this exhibition is brought to the Freedom Tower is because the Freedom Tower, as its title, is a symbol of freedom. But by the way of contrast, we think that this exhibition can be highly educational to understand what happens precisely when freedom is not there, when human rights are not there, and you lose the possibility of decision.
Presently, the United States is housing nearly 55,000 refugees of torture from different parts of the world. The procedure depicted here is said to be one of the scariest forms of torture. Victims are tilted feet down and forced to swallow immense quantities of water by having a funnel placed in their mouth. The victim is then compelled to swallow while gasping for air. The process is repeated until the torturer achieves a desired outcome. Today, this procedure is commonly known as waterboarding. Gutierrez tells us about another.
The wheel has always been an important component in torture. And basically what they would do with the wheel is that they would tie you to it, and as the process of questioning would go on, when you're tied, they would be moving you around. Obviously, there's a sense of balance that is lost. There's a sense of pain in the body because you're tied up, you're in a position that you don't control, your muscles start to stress, and then they would keep on during the process. Even though in Inquisition and in many torture practices, they usually establish a time frame for torturing. For example, on the Inquisition was not more than 1 hour 15 minutes. It's still the same process.
Professor, how relevant do you think the Instruments of Torture exhibit is as a whole to society today?
Very relevant. Just the fact that there's several wars around the world right now. It's very important that the students just see that some of these instruments are actually still being used in some countries right now. So I think for them it just puts everything in perspective as far as contemporary society is concerned in other parts of the world. And it also helps them look at things in a very historical context to see where it is that we come from and what the Spanish Inquisition meant and what an influence that had on a lot of the ways we think right now. It's religiously and politically. So I think it's very important and very relevant.
If you'd like to see the exhibit, it runs through the end of August at the Freedom Tower. The tower is open every day except Monday, and there is an admission price. A free guided tour is offered on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. Parents are encouraged not to bring their small children to this exhibit because of its strong content. If you are interested in getting more information, log on to miamitorture.com. For Miami-Dade College in Focus, I'm Cece Mitchell.